friends, a very warm welcome to the Crochet Hook channel. Today we are going to learn how to crochet this beautiful heart-shaped applique, and here I have created a bookmark using this applique. It looks very beautiful and it's very interesting to go for it. It's a small and simple project and very useful for the reader friends. For the friends who are joining me here for the first time, please do consider subscribing to my channel. That means a lot. Having all that being said, let's get started with the pattern. So here I have taken yarn of my choice and a crochet hook of 2.50 millimeters. So then work a slip knot. This is how I prefer to work my slip knots. This is the easiest way I find. Then chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Then insert the hook into the very first chain here. Work a slip stitch to join this round here. We have a magic ring created. Now we'll be working in this ring. So for the next round, chain 3, yarn over, insert the hook into the ring at the center of it, pull up a loop and work 1 DC. Counting first chain 3 also as a DC, we have 2 DCs. Nextly, yarn over, insert the hook into the ring, work 1 more DC. We have 3 DCs. Work 1 more DC into the ring like this. 4. And just like this, we'll be creating DCs all the way around till we have a total of 12 DCs worked. So then we have 4 made already. Again, yarn over, work the next DC. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and one more, 12. So we have worked a 12 DCs. Then into this top third chain, insert the hook, work a slip stitch to join this round here. Round 1 completes here, and I'll just put a knot and cut the thread as I'm going to change the shade to turquoise blue. So then, if at all you're going for a shade change, just move as shown, and then into this top third chain again I'm joining my thread, securing it with the knots. Insert the hook, pull up the loop and chain 3. We are beginning our round 2. Then yarn over into the next DC. Insert the hook, work 2 DCs. 1 and 1 more into the same DC. 2. Yarn over again into the next DC, work 2 DCs. 1 and 1 more DC into the same stitch. 2. Again into the next DC, work 2 DCs. Simple round, and we'll just be working 2 DCs into every DC below all the way round in this round. So then yarn over again into the next DC, work 2 DCs. 1 and 2. Yarn over, work 2 DCs into the next DC. And here we are not counting the first chain 3 as a DC, so at the end of this round, we should have a total of 25 DCs worked. Just creating 2 DCs into every DC below. Into this last stitch also work the 2 DCs, and then so here all the 25 DCs are worked. Then into this top third chain of the beginning chain 3, insert the hook, work a slip stitch to join this round here. This finishes round 2. This is how it looks. Nextly, for the round 3, chain 3, yarn over into the next DC, work 2 DCs, 1 and 2. Then yarn over into the next DC, just work 1 DC, 2 and 1. Again repeat the same pattern. Into the next DC, work 2 DCs, 1 and 2, and then into the next DC, work 1 DC. Simple round, 2 1 2 1. This is the pattern we are going to go for all around this round. So then into the next DC, work 2 DCs, 1 and 2. Then into the next DC, work 1 DC. Into the next DC, work 2 DCs. Into the next DC, work 1 DC. So just move like this till you reach the end. I'll see you there. So I've finished and reaching the end, almost nearing the end. Have worked my last 2 DCs. And then into this top third chain, insert the hook, work a slip stitch to join this round here. So this round 3 completed here, and here we have 37 DCs. First chain 3 doesn't count as a DC. So then to begin round 4, insert the hook into the next stitch, work 1 slip stitch like this, then chain 1, insert the hook into the same stitch, work 1 SC, and then yarn over into the next DC, work 2 DCs, and we will just be working 2 DCs 6 more times, just like this. We have created 1 time 2 DCs, and again 6 more time we'll go just like this, creating 2 DCs into 1 DC below. Then yarn over into the next DC, work 2 DCs. This is the second time. Into the next DC, work 2 DC. Third time, into the next DC, work 2 DCs. Fourth time, into the next DC, work 2 DCs. Fifth time, into the next DC, work 2 DCs. Sixth time, we're completing it here. One more time, into the next DC, work 2 DCs. So we have finished 7 times working this pattern from here till here. Then yarn over into the next DC, insert the hook, work 1 DC. Again yarn over into the next DC, work 1 DC. So we have created 1 DC each on the next 2 stitches. Then yarn over into the next DC, work 1 HDC. Yarn over into the next DC, work 1 HDC. So 2 times we have created 2 HDCs, 1 on 1. Next into the next DC, work 1 SC. Into the next DC, work 1 SC, 2. Into the next DC, work 1 SC, 3. Into the next DC, work 1 SC, 4. So 4 times we have created SCs. Then yarn over into the next DC, work 1 HDC. Yarn over again into the next DC, work 1 DC. Then we have reached the center stitch, the half of the circle. Insert the hook into the next DC, and we are going to work 3 DCs, 1, 2 and 3 DCs into this very stitch. Then yarn over, work 1 DC into the next DC. Yarn over, work 1 HDC into the next DC like this. And then 4 times we'll be working SC. 1 into the next stitch, work 1 SC, 2. Into the next stitch, work 1 SC, 3. Into the next stitch, work 1 SC, 4. Just the way we created on that side, we are working it on this side. Then yarn over. Insert the hook into the next DC, work 1 HDC. Yarn over, work 1 more HDC into the next DC. 2 HDCs work. Then into the next DC, work 1 DC. 1 into the next DC, work 1 DC, 2. And then again, we'll work 7 times that pattern of creating 2 DCs into every DC. So this is the first time, work 2 DCs into the next stitch. 1. Work 2 DCs into the next stitch. The second time, work 2 DCs into the next stitch. This is the third time, work 2 DCs into the next stitch. Fourth time, work 2 DCs into the next stitch. Fifth time, work 2 DCs into the next stitch. Sixth time, work 2 DCs into the next stitch. The seventh time here, done. Nextly, into the space next to it, work 1 SC, and then into the SC, the beginning SC, insert the hook and work 1 slip stitch to join this round here. So after completion of 4th round, this is how this little heart looks. Nextly, we'll go for the round 5. So then insert the hook into the next DC, work a slip stitch, then chain 1 and insert the hook into the same stitch, work 1 SC, then yarn over into the next stitch, work 1 HDC, and yarn over. We are going to work 2 DCs 8 times into 8 DCs below. So then into the next DC, work 2 DCs. This is the first time. 2 DCs into the next stitch. This is the second time. 2 DCs into the next stitch. Third time. 2 DCs into the next stitch. Fourth time. 2 DCs into the next stitch. Fifth time, 2 DCs into the next stitch. Sixth time, 2 DCs into the next stitch. Seventh time, we have worked 2 DCs till here. One more time, yarn over into the next stitch, work 2 DCs. This is the 8th time. We are going to go for it. Then yarn over. 8 times we have created this pattern. Then yarn over into the next stitch, work 1 DC. Into the next stitch, work 1 DC. Yarn over into the next stitch, work 1 DC. So we have created 3 DCs, 1 onto 1. Nextly, yarn over into the next stitch, work 1 HDC. One more time, yarn over, work 1 HDC into the next stitch. And from here, we'll be working SCs. So then into the next stitch, work SC. In the next stitch, work 1 SC. Into the next stitch, just work 1 SC. 1 SC into the next stitch. Work 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 1 SC into the next stitch. We are reaching this pointed end of this heart, and we'll just be working SCs 1 into each of them. Just keep working SC into every DC, and again from the center we are moving upwards. Just work SCs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times we have to work SCs from the center. So we have worked SCs, and then yarn over into the next stitch, work 1 HDC. Into the next stitch, work 1 HDC. 2 times we worked HDCs. Then into the next stitch, work 1 DC. Into the next stitch, work 1 DC. One more time into the next stitch, work 1 DC. So 3 times we created DCs 1 into 1 stitch below. And from here again we'll work 2 DCs into every stitch ahead 8 times. So this is the first time, work 2 DCs into the next stitch, then into the next stitch again, work 2 DCs. 1 and 2. This is the second time. Into the next stitch, work 2 DCs. This is the third time. Into the next stitch, work 2 DCs. This is the fourth time. Into the next stitch, work 2 DCs. This is the fifth time. Into the next stitch, work 2 DCs. This is the sixth time. Into the next stitch, work 2 DCs. This is the seventh time. Into the next stitch, work 2 DCs. This is the eighth and the last time for this kind of repeat. Into the next stitch, work 1 HDC. Into the next stitch, work 1 SC. Into the next space here, work a slip stitch like this, and then into this beginning SC of this round, work a slip again. So we work 2 slips in this round in the end. And this heart is finished. 5 rounds have been finished till yet. So this is the basic simple pattern of this heart that gets finished in 5 rounds. And I've cut my thread, and again I'm going to join this light pink shade back here in the very center, and I'll just be working slip stitches all the way. So then into the next stitch, work 1 slip like this. Keep the strand, this yarn tight and firm. Into the next stitch, work 1 slip stitch like this. Simple round. This is optional. If you wish, you can go for it. I love to work it like this, just to make this boundary more sturdy. I'm working this SCs, and I'll just keep working 1 SC into every stitch ahead till I reach the starting point all the way. So first I'll see you. So here I have reached this third DC, the center DC, and here chain 3, and into the same stitch work 1 slip stitch like this. So we have created a small loop of chain 3 here, and then again begin working 1 slip stitch into every stitch ahead. Just go like this. I'll see you there. So I have finished it all the way around. My slips are finished. Into the last stitch, working my last slip, and then this is how I'll go for it, because we cannot put a knot in the front. So what I'm going to do, just follow that, pull up this loop, and again insert the hook from into the stitch next to the center here, and bring this loop onto the back side. Pull out the entire thread so it's looking up clean here. Now take out the entire thread, and we had this beginning loose end as well, so it's clean on this side, and then just secure the 2 threads, tying them together like this. And I'll simply sew in the loose ends at the back of this very heart. I'll show it once to you how I'm doing it. Just insert it through the stitches. It shouldn't show up on either sides like this. See, it's not showing up onto the front either. So then cut that extra thread, and in the same way secure the next end as well into this at the back of this heart. So I've secured this one as well. So this is the back of the heart, and this is the front of this heart applique. And nextly, we're going to create a chain into this chain 3. So here I'll simply tie my thread, take out the loop and begin chaining, and you can chain any number according to the length you desire for the bookmark. I'm chaining 40 here. So just chain as much you wish to reach your desired length. Simple. So here I have chained 40 and I'll just put the knot here, keeping the tail a little longer. And nextly we have this loose end. I'll simply secure it into this chain itself. So I've thread my needle and I'll just first put a few knots here to secure it well. And then sew this loose end into this chain, working small stitches so that it doesn't alter the chain pattern at all and looks clean as well. Cut out the extra thread. So we have kind of added the string in this chain 3 of the heart, and we'll require this loose end later. So this heart is ready. Nextly, I have taken my phone and because I'm going to create a small tassel, I'll just wrap my yarn around this phone a few times and just keep following me. You'll be easily able to do it with me. So having wrapped it enough times, cut the thread, and before we take it out, here I have taken the thread around 1 feet long and then double it, cut it and then double it. We want one more strand of the same size. So we have 2 strands around 1 feet long randomly. Now take that all out, and we are working with the loops here. Hold them carefully. Pass this thread from beneath the loops like this. We want to secure the loops in one place and then secure the loops with tight knots like this. And nextly, grab your scissors, cut the loops on one side. This is haphazard. We will shortly trim them down. So then first we'll tie the head for the tassel, and we have another yarn ready. So just wrap this yarn around like this, as you want to have a small head at the top of the tassel, and then work a few knots to secure it there. Make sure that the knots are really tight and sturdy. And what I prefer to do is I'll wrap it a few more times and then I'll thread my needle with the same loose end. And simply into this very space, I'll secure it with a few more knots to make it more and more strong, like this. Leave the tail, that will go with the tassel. Now we're going to trim down the tassels. So just carefully trim it like this. Then from another angle also trim it down like this, and it's done. It's a small tassel. And we'll secure these loose ends as well. So grab a sewing needle which has a big eye enough to incorporate the two strands together. And I'll just first put a few knots here only into the head here. And then from the top of this head, insert the needle, take it out from the bottom, from the side of this thing. Here again we'll put a few knots into this wrapped around thread. And then insert the needle and take it out from the lower side. Again we have a few threads that are different size. Just trim it one more time like this. So the tassel is ready, and nextly we're going to join it to this end, and we already have this loose end. We'll use this end to join it. Thread your needle with that loose end of this heart string, and at the top of this tassel only put a few knots to secure it there. Simple. And then again we'll take this yarn as well from the head side towards the bottom side of this tassel like this. Pull it all the way down, and one more time just cut that extra thread that is showing up. So here our tassel is perfectly joined with the string of this heart, and a bookmark is ready. It's a very, very beautiful, cute, adorable project to go for. And if I just loosely measure the length from the top till the end of this tassel unstretched, this is around 37-38 centimeters long. You can keep the string longer if you wish. It's entirely up to you. I hope the tutorial helps and was interesting. Have fun learning, have fun crocheting. Please do consider subscribing to my channel. Many thanks, much love to you all. See, the back also looks very clean. See you next time.